There we go. All right, everybody. Welcome to. Let me get my shit together. Welcome to the Scar Thumb Podcast. It's me, David. Be hosting today. We got a lot of stuff to cover. First off, we have Xbox. Is Xbox done? Is this the end of the Xbox era? We're talking about Palworld a little more. Stellar Blade again. Pokemon. We're going to get into some Pokemon. Can Pokemon save itself? And some more other things. Celebrations of careers. And maybe some other stuff. I have so much stuff I'm forgetting how much we're going to cover. Oh, yellow paint. That's the other thing. Ooh, yellow paint. Who would have known? Who would have thought yellow paint would get people so mad? But that's all. You'll have to stick around to find out what that's all about on the Scar Thumb Podcast. But let's get into it. So like I said, I have so much to discuss. It's crazy. I hope I can fit in an hour. But we might not. We might not. We'll get through it, though. First off, we're starting with Xbox. More rumors, more leaks, more discussion around it. Rumblings underneath that could lead to something bigger. This is from Andrew Marmo on Twitter. Rumor/leak. Walmart to start removing physical Xbox games in stores, starting with Starfield. Copies are either going to 3 cents or be destroyed. And here is a screenshot. Here looks to be of a phone. Screenshot here. Department 5. This is from Walmart. Remove and discard Starfield Xbox video games. On Monday, January 22nd, the Xbox Series X Starfield video game will be marked down to 3 cents to prepare for the disposal at store level. Thank you for helping process this item off our shelves. All right. Wow. This is a leak. I don't know if this actually ever happened. Accept the markdown at 3 cents in the Walmart app. Price availability changes. Use Xbox on-hand lookup tool to see how many units in the store. Locate and remove inventory from the sales floor and back room. So, Walmart getting rid of Xbox Starfield video game. Very weird. But we have been hearing talks about places getting out of physical games. Well, from my own experience looking in the game sections of different Walmarts, there is a lot of reduction in the physical areas of physical game cases. A lot of them moving to just having a sort of stand with these cards. Of course, the digital download cards. A lot easier to stack. You don't need to lock it up in a cage, so you don't need an associate to go grab it out and get it. So it's much easier. A lot less theft, since I guess you need to activate it before you can actually use the code. So it's not like people can just stick these cards in and they'll have a code. So that there's a lot of, from a retail level, there's a lot of positives to getting rid of physical games in the store. Of course, the negative may be that eventually these places just cut out the retail. But at the same time, there's still so many people that aren't using physical media. Like, is grandma really going to go down there and, go online or something and buy you a code for a game? Probably not. They're going to go through a retail store and pick up a gift card for them or something else, a gift card or one of those digital download codes. They're not going to, go on a website, the official Xbox, Microsoft, or Nintendo website and buy a game. Though I have done that for my nephews. But let's move on. This, of course, Phil Spencer decides to make a cryptic message. He is the head of Xbox right now. We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week. We're looking forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. Very cryptic. The head of Xbox here, Phil Spencer. Let's go over here. PC Focus It appears that Xbox is moving away from the Xbox Game Pass name. It will now be called Microsoft Game Pass, a potential sign that Game Pass is coming to more platforms in the near future. So, no longer Xbox Game Pass. Come play new Xbox games on the Xbox Series X. Explore the benefits of Game Pass. This is from GameStop. It's free to join all local times. Xbox Demo Day. Come play Xbox Series X, and then right here at the bottom it has the benefits of Microsoft Game Pass. So this could be a pivot from this sort of Xbox Game Pass to Microsoft Game Pass, maybe trying to push it on more platforms. The PC. I think they realize that the PC is a big thing, and potentially, I don't know, maybe even move the Game Pass, make it available on potentially other consoles. That'd be crazy. I don't think PlayStation or Switch would allow that, but maybe they just want to sort of untie it from Xbox specifically, and have it both PC and Xbox. Now that would be my guess. We'll see. And then here's an article from VGC News by Andy Robinson. Phil Spencer has reportedly reassured employees Microsoft won't stop making Xbox consoles in a Turtle Town meeting. According to journalist Shannon Liao, Microsoft's head of gaming, Phil Spencer, told employees that Xbox currently has no plans to stop making consoles, and that Xbox consoles will continue to be part of this strategy, which involves multiple kinds of devices, in quotation marks here. That's very important. Publicly, Microsoft remains silent on recent reports that it could bring games, including its key exclusive Starfield, to PlayStation 5, and then announcing that it will hold a business update sometime next week. We're listening. We hear you, Spencer wrote on X earlier this week. We're planning a business update event for next week, and we look forward to sharing more details with it about the vision of the future of Xbox. So it's claimed multiple major Xbox exclusives, including Starfield, Hi-Fi Rush, and Indiana Jones could be released on the PS5 as part of a significant strategy shift from Microsoft's gaming division. So, although not officially confirmed, led to major backlash from the Xbox community. The Xbox faithful are not happy about seeing these exclusives go to PlayStation 5. There's still that fandom there that's still like, hey, we want to win the console war. Personally, I think it's time to move on. I think the era of the console wars is dead. I think we're moving on to the PC master race era, where a lot of these companies, even PlayStation, by the way, with Switch being the only really holdout on exclusives, because Nintendo obviously owns, when it comes to their IP is clearly the strongest in terms of exclusives. All of Xbox stuff is like an Xbox and PlayStation. I don't know if they're if they really have a lot of internal divisions. But it's like Naughty Dog. They acquire studios, like whether it's Naughty Dog or Bungie or these sort of things that make things like Halo, or used to make stuff like Halo for Xbox. I don't even know what Xbox has left. Bethesda, let's say, and now they have Activision Blizzard. But even at this point, they're still not they're looking like Call of Duty. Like, we're not going to put Call of Duty exclusively on Xbox. We'd be losing so much money potentially from getting it for PlayStation. The PlayStation users. So why cut that user base down so much, especially when you have the cost of games? And I think that might be one of the reasons a lot of these exclusives are dying, or the era of the exclusive is dying, is because there's so much money involved in making these games that it's just not worth it. You just need to get all the money you can, which means getting out to the biggest audience possible. They no longer can, like Xbox or Sony, eat some of that cost just to move consoles anymore. It's just the things are outrageous. But this isn't it for Xbox's problems, by the way. There's a lot of kind of fallout coming with the Activision merger, which we'll go over. And this was from the XNC podcast, Mr. Colton Eastwood here. Let me bring it down so you can see that. Give them credit where credit is due. And this is a guy named MAG. I think that stands for middle-aged gamer guy or something like that, I believe. MAG. Well, let's see what he has to say.
I've heard, like I said, take this all with whatever grain of salt, grain of salt you want to take it with. I've heard that there's been a bone of contention, not from the management of these acquired publishers and studios and so on and so forth. It's more of the people involved, where they're looking at the way that their salaries work, the way their bonuses work. I'm not going to get into all that because I'm not there. Phil's probably screaming right now, going, "That's not." But hey, listen, this is just what I've heard from other people who are there. And they said that he would get paid based on performance bonuses of sales and that kind of thing, or whatever, and revenue and all this. And all of a sudden, you go to a company that's no longer reporting sales, and then of course they've got a subscription service that's not actually based on a sales metric, right? And it's a whole different thing. Now they're coming in saying, "Well, what happened to my bonus? I get like 10 grand at the end of the year that I can go to the Bahamas with my family or something. I don't know."
Or
and
Oregon.
I'm not saying that they're exactly, Oregon, of course. That's where everybody's going. That's where everybody's going. But the thing is, now they're looking at it like, well, how's this going to work now, and what's happening? And then all of a sudden, what happens? Then the Blizzard thing happens, right?
So that's a really interesting point with Xbox going over to, or pushing, Xbox Game Pass. You have these old contracts, or salary-based things that they get bonuses based off game sales. Well, now all of a sudden, they don't report sales, and half the stuff might be off Game Pass. New game comes out, well, it's Game Pass, so not as many people are actually buying the game. There's playing the Game Pass, so now those people that had that benefit before, maybe, like I said, getting like a few grand, go on a vacation. Well, now all of a sudden that's gone. But that doesn't stop here. Also with the merger, this is a story from PC Gamer by Rick Lane here. Former Infinity Ward dev says Activision told staff to take the money and get over it after cold-blooded canning of studio heads West and Zampella. In 2009, Infinity Ward's head Wes Vance and Zampella were abruptly fired from the company owners Activision. Zampella had directly, well, this is like a while back, going through the stardom of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Just before the release of Modern Warfare 2 shocked the industry, arguably changed course for Call of Duty and the FPS forever. Now a developer who worked at Infinity Ward at the time has recalled dramatic events that said Paul Sandler, who currently lead designer of NetEase Games, wrote an article. And this basically goes on to, they're fired for insubordination. This is some of the sort of stories of how this came out. After a series of executive level meetings following the firing of Activision security guards, showed up, took them out. So like they weren't just sort of like let go gently. They were like, get out. And this risked Modern Warfare 3. And then Activision saw this coming. This is, I guess, a story of Activision's mismanagement. All this leading up to them getting bought out eventually by Microsoft. But it's an emergency meeting. Activision studios tried to explain what was happening, but nobody at the team bought or cared for this. The expedition, following on deaf ears, action apparently tried a different tactic. Paraphrasing what executives said next, guys, if you stay at the studio to make Modern Warfare 3, you'll receive your MW2 bonuses, and we'll also give everyone a 50% salary increase. If anything, most of the team was feeling even more upset, at which point the executive played hardball, reportedly saying, just take the money and get over it. Wow. 40 of them left the studio in the wake of the firing, though other reports say the final total was 46. Other 38 joining part of New A's back studio Respawn Entertainment, and would work on games like Titanfall, Apex Legends. And himself remained undecided at Infinity Ward due to the impending legal trial over the unpaid Modern Warfare 2 bonuses. Regarding his final decision, he concluded that's a story for another time. Very interesting. This is more of the past going into Infinity Ward, what leading up to Activision. And this is 2009, so you can kind of see even back then there's a lot of corporate stuff going on, and in 2024, you're seeing this become more and more common, as it's just sort of laying the seeds for eventually games declining further and further. This is a interesting new thing from IGN related to Xbox. New data suggests that PS5 has outsold Xbox Series X/S 2-1. Looks like Sony's PlayStation 5 has sold around double the number of units as Xbox Series X, according to data shared in a recent Take-Two Interactive's earnings report. One side of the company shared that 77 million Gen 9 consoles have been sold as of December 31st, 2023. While the figure doesn't give us too much insight on its own, Sony announced that it had sold a little more than 50 million PS5s. Microsoft usually keeps this number of the wraps, but Take-Two's information in mind, you can estimate the Xbox Series X sits around 27 million units sold. So, you're kind of like using reverse math here. So, an approximation, state of Gen 9 keeps in line with previous sales updates. In July of last year, Sony revealed that the latest PlayStation console was still going strong with 40 million units sold at Games event in Brazil around the same time. Xbox Series sales were said to be just over 21 million. So Xbox not doing great on its sales, which could be yet another reason why it's kind of pivoting, wanting to focus on PC, potentially bringing some of its exclusives to other platforms to help, get sales up. And of course, they go on to mention it. Today, next interesting content, rumors, Xbox future, talking about Indiana Jones, Starfield, Sea of Thieves, Firefly Rush. Will soon come to console competitors like PlayStation's. Shocked by the news. We've already gone over this, but that is, this is, like I said, another reason the numbers, and these are approximations, but if they're even kind of around close to right, there's going to be an issue. There's definitely an issue here, and I think Xbox sees that their path forward might be focusing more onto PC, less reliant on their console. Basically, I think, to me, it seems like this is let me give you my opinion on the whole thing, which for what it's worth, whatever it's worth, that they're going to still keep their console. It's going to be like, hey, you want a console? If you're a console gamer, we're going to give you something to play play games on. I don't think they want to totally get out of that market because there's money to be made, especially with their Game Pass, their subscription service. It's an easy win, all right, hey, you want to play online with Xbox? Hey, get the Game Pass, or kind of like they could bundle that in with their Xbox Online, offer those games, like a premium pass or whatever. But they also realize that PC is a huge market. It allows them, and if they can kind of, especially with, I think, the indie scene being so strong, success like Palworld, some other smaller games, making a lot of money, moving units, Lethal Company, moving a ton of units, huge, good bet, a really big game. If they could kind of make themselves like, hey, if you're already making a game for Windows, I assume it's fairly easy to bring it over to Xbox. If not, then they should really work on removing those barriers. Because if they can make themselves like, hey, if you're making it for Steam, and it'll be released on Steam, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to put it on Xbox, then I think they could actually move some units. They'd be in a lot better position than they are now. So right now, you have things like Steam Deck, sort of like for like mobile gaming, but in terms of like console gaming at home, on a TV, I don't know if I think Steam tried to release their own like console type of thing. I don't know if it really did all that well, like especially compared to the Steam Deck. So if they can make themselves like, hey, this is the console that's going to get you all the cool games, cross play. If they could somehow make that easy, between like Steam and Xbox, then man, I think they could really, I know they're working on it with Palworld. I think that could be a home run for them. They say, Tiago, how's it going? Sony has already converted various games to PC soon for Horizon Forbidden West will come out for PC. Yeah, exactly. And I think I think they really regret the whole Final Fantasy, which I think is an article further down the line in this. They regret having that sort of Final Fantasy being a Sony exclusive for such a long time, because I think that hurt a lot of its sales. Bringing it out to PC, I think, really helps the sales. Helps recoup that money. And I think, like I said earlier, with exclusives costing so much money, we saw like in the previous article with like Last of Us 2 costing like $200 million to make, and that's not even including the marketing budget. In like 5 years, that again, I don't think these these console makers, PlayStation, Xbox, want to, can't afford to kind of help fund that, or make up that shortfall if they do hit a shortfall. If like a game like that bombs, I mean, think about how much money you're losing on that. It's huge. And just the idea of trying to sell using those games to sell consoles, I don't think it's profitable anymore, at least for studios like Microsoft and Sony. I think for Nintendo, I think it's a different story, and we actually do have some articles on that. So let's move on. This is Helldivers. Well, speaking of PlayStation exclusives, going to PC, Helldivers 2 is now the first game ever published by Microsoft to pass 100,000 concurrent players on Steam, 109K and climbing, biggest PlayStation PC launch ever. So this is like Helldivers is like I think it's almost like a base defense. I've only seen a few copies of it. You're shooting bugs. It looks like you drop in and then you fight hordes, waves of enemies. Looks like a lot of fun. But that came out, I guess, on PlayStation and PC at the same time. And it's doing extremely well. I think successes like this are only going to bolster the idea, especially for Microsoft and Sony, that console plus PC releases at the same time are like the way to go right now. The area of exclusives just are not looking as profitable. What big news as well from Disney. Disney invests $1.5 billion into Epic Games as it plots a new environment universe with Fortnite. The Walt Disney Company CEO Robert Iger, or Bob Iger as he's called, labels partnership the biggest entry ever into the world of games. Walt Disney Company has invested. This is from PocketGamer.biz by Craig Chappell. Walt Disney Company has invested $1.5 billion to acquire an equity stake at Epic Games as the two firms plot a major multi-year project. Disney plans to build a new gamers and entertainment universe which enables consumers to play, watch, stop, and engage with content, characters, and stories from Disney's, Pixar's, Marvel, Star Wars, Avatar, and more. The new content will be developed with the Unreal Engine and will interlope Epic's hit battle royale title Fortnite. The Disney Company might call the deal as the company's biggest entry in the world of games. A lot of people getting mad at Bob Iger this week because he's talking about video games like he discovered fire. I see. Of course, Iger did earlier, like in I think like 2007, gut Lucasfilms or LucasArts. They developed games, and Disney Interactive. So several years back, Bob Iger gutted these companies, which made some pretty popular, like Star Wars games, Disney games. I really loved the back in the Genesis era. Aladdin was really good. Some of those old Disney-based platformers were pretty fun games. But things sort of fell off during that time, and now it is funny to see Bob Iger coming back and like, yeah, video games, they're great. When I saw how big video games is, like I was like, I got to get back in on this. Wow, it is funny the way the lack of memory that they have. This is Epic Games. Disney is one of the first companies to believe in the potential of bringing new worlds together with ours in Fortnite. They use Unreal Engine across their portfolio. we're collaborating on something entirely new to build a persistent, open, interloper ecosystem that'll bring together Disney and Fortnite communities. And then they have this video. Let's see.
Discover a place where magic is epic.
Avatar, Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, Cars. And then it shows us like various islands. There's something in the center here. Looks like a Magic Kingdom, like a little downtown area. You can see Wreck-It Ralph. I think for Cars. I don't know if this is some sort of Star Wars stuff. Marvel, Lucasfilms, ESPN, Disney Plus over here. This kind of reminds me of Roblox, to be honest. I never played Roblox, so I could be 100% talking out of my ass here, but like Roblox is like a place where you can like a hub where you can just play various games. People can make games, but it does look like they're trying to sort of get in that Roblox style, like multi-area, multi-game, multimedia, where you can watch stuff. You can play various games based on IPs. Like they did, like Lego collaborated with Fortnite to make that sort of like Lego survival game. I guess it's Lego Fortnite or something. Like a big survival game that was very popular and did very well. So Disney trying to get in on this using, making games using Unreal 5. People, I don't play Roblox that much, so it's, but it's pretty easy to remember. I don't know what, let me see if I can just bring that up. Let's see, what is Roblox annual revenue? Annual revenue for 2002 was $2.2 billion. So, Roblox makes a lot of money, Like, if you were to make that that 1.5 billion would be made back in a few years if you were making that kind of cash with an area like this. So a lot of strong IPs. We'll see. Disney hasn't looked super strong lately, but we'll see. I mean, I don't play Fortnite. I don't play any of the Fortnite style games, so I'm just more passively interested in this, just to see if it can work. Because this could be really cool, or it could be a big disaster, depending on how it works. And we'll see, like, if it can bring in new people, Disney fans, get them in and playing on these games. Because I don't even know if you can play it on the console, you can play it on PC. Like, how's that even going to work? We'll see. Let me bring this up. Let's move on here. Let's talk about Power World for a little bit. Power World, this is from PC Gamer by Andy Chalk. The makers of Power World are desperate to hire more developers. We're overwhelmingly short of people. Now, I got some crap for my Power World going bankrupt video. Some people weren't too happy about it. But I don't think a lot of people, judging by the comments, I don't think a lot of people realize that success, just making a lot of money on a game, doesn't necessarily come with its own problems. They are Power World developer podcast pouring nearly $500,000 every month. This was obviously referring to the server costs, which you can afford to do because Power World is a massive hit. But it's still looking for all the help it can get at Power World. We still have a lot to do, but we are overwhelmingly short on people to join us. Studio tweeted on its Japanese account, "We are looking for people of all positions. We are especially looking for planning and engineers." Excuse me. So, we're looking for people experienced in any type of engine. So if you are interested in creating a completely new type of game, please apply. So this is Twitter auto translation is a little more Power World-esque. We are severely lacking in friends. This is the tweet. So Power World has, it's made 19 million players. Huge success. Probably going to get to 20 million. May even already be at 20 million right now. but it's one of the most played games on Steam. Incredibly successful, but like I said, success comes with its own pitfalls. They've got large server costs. They need to expand their company, and growing rapidly isn't going to be super easy. You know, you got to worry about if you add too many people too quickly. Do you change the culture of your company? Do you have to worry about who you let in? I mean, did you just like get people in? Could you, invite some people that aren't all that good, or potentially toxic to your company? Like, how do you maintain the sort of feelings that went in to make this game a success when you have to expand your staff like 2-3 times? So, and I assume anybody. There's also plenty of people that see the Palworld success, potentially see dollar signs. Could Palworld be a sort of Pokemon level franchise with the merchandising, with anime, with cartoons? There's a lot of people looking to get a quick buck that could look at Palworld and like, ooh, how can I get in on this? And really kind of take advantage of this this sort of gold rush. So I think the CEO and Pocket Pair have a large task ahead of them to try and make sure they expand, but do so in a manner that doesn't destroy this sort of company culture. And we'll see. But right now, they're just looking for all the help they can get. Obviously, now that they've gotten such success, I think more and more the clock's working against them, as people, they're willing, hey, it's a $30 game, it's made by any company, of course it's going to have a lot of bugs, but as the game goes on and, some of the stuff still persists, I think people are getting more and more irritated with stuff like, their pals getting stuck, getting hurt, where's new content, as, even I'm starting to reach level, getting close to level 50. I'm level 45 right now. I haven't caught all the pals yet. As people start to do that, they'll be looking for new content and new stuff to take on. Like, hey, Jack, how's it going? So they need to keep this momentum going and making sure that they're still successful. Good to see it. But now, talk about Palworld. Let's talk about Pokemon. I've been thinking about this lately, and people have said Palworld isn't really a competitor to Pokemon. We were talking about Ryan with that the other day on our T-Rex Army stream. I think he was quoting some other thing, and I've watched other videos that said Palworld's the best thing to happen to Pokemon because it's actually going to help kind of get them, kick them in the butt, get them in the right direction. Right now they've just sort of been focusing on putting out stuff as fast as possible, and so far it has been very successful doing that. They make a lot of money with all these games, even if they're subpar. But this is what I've been wondering. If Palworld's sort of the edgy Pokemon, it has its own identity. Hey, we're going to appeal to adults that have maybe grown out of Pokemon. What does Pokemon actually do? What does it stand for? And I think Pokemon lately has just really been falling off in terms of how it does it, which was really interesting when I saw this show up on my feed. This is from Behance. This is from George K. I don't know. Need to see the full name. From Amsterdam, Netherlands. This is a sort of a concept drawing that he did from Pokemon Arceus. You can see this beautiful. Look at this beautiful landscape here. It looks like Kanto region Ash with his some of his starters. Where's Squirtle at? Dang. It said he recently played Arceus. I like the direction Nintendo gave chosen for the game, which I did too. I think it was a very good idea. Idea of an adventure wild area reminds me of why I love Pokemon. And then he goes on to sort of show, this is mock-ups of how the game could look. Again, very much like Arceus. But, the really cool looking details here. You can, in the background, you can see Onix. You can see, a Fearow flying in the distance. It's obviously based on the Kanto region. Butterfree. You see some Psyducks over here. Zubats flying. I mean, this is beautiful. This kind of stuff. this almost, to me, this almost looks too busy from like a gameplay standpoint, because you can see like Togepi's, you can see Poliwags, Growlithe, Arcanine with a Growlithe, Vileplumes, a bunch of Staryus, Goldeen's, Gyarados, flock of Pidgeots, or Pidgeotos, I should say, and Doug Trios. Really cool stuff. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, but that said, probably maybe too many Pokemon in one area for to be all right. Goldeen swimming in the water. This absolutely gorgeous. Look at this stuff. Ponyta's in the area. Like, wow. They're flying on a Fearow. This looks super. This looks amazing. Like, if only we could get a game like this. And then that shows like some of the combat. It's very much like Arceus. On this, this is especially like Arceus with like a legendary Pokemon boss battle. And catch them all. He's eating a little eating a berry. Very neat. Climbing, which is whatever, right? I thought the climbing, this sort of open world aspect of Arceus was whatever, but I'm going to show you some Arceus footage. And then big like scenes like this. This is a really cool giant Blastoise with a bunch of little Squirtles around. Really like that. It's like, it kind of telling a story with the, you can kind of see it where it's like, oh, just Beedrill's hanging around, but, this sort of like boss here, Blastoise, with, a bunch of little Squirtles kind of looking over them, protecting them. Like, this is kind of thing that makes you feel like the world's alive, and sadly missing from a lot of Pokemon games. And like errors, like, oh, I think I'll mute this so I don't get copyright strike, but this is sort of like a Pokemon short, or like people sort of doing like their jobs, ordinary job world, which probably wouldn't make for a great game, but this is just sort of like real life. But with Pokemon, we're there as like partners and pets, people running around with Pokemon just sort of interacting in a world. I mean, this is how people like want to see Pokemon. If you like said Pokemon had an identity, it'd be something like this. Always stuck in traffic. They're sort of guy. This is kind of a funny part where chick's meeting her father with her boyfriend, and the guy's got his giant. I forget what this guy's name is, but you got him a choke. Incineroar. Got two giant Pokemon trying to intimidate this guy. And it's just living with Pokemon, keeping people company. Just running around like this. A very cool animated short. This is from Katsuka. Pokemon Dreaming a Good Time, a Chinese animated short directed by Dai Wei. Very cool for the Chinese New Year. This is how like people would interpret Pokemon, or like kind of wish Pokemon would be like. And then we have what Pokemon actually is here. This is some footage I got. This is a comparison video I wanted to make. This is Pokemon Arceus. You can see like this Gyarados in the background. You can see the mountains here. The waterfall. I mean, it's the Switch. It doesn't look great. And then you can see right here in the background. Once the Pokemon get too far, they go to like this reduced frames of animation. Almost like they're like 2D objects. I mean, overall the game, this just looks like crap. It's not a good looking game. And then like comparison, like you had Gyarados flying around, and this is Tears of the Kingdom. This is the same system here. Same system. Let's compare how things look in terms of like world building. You can see like a church in the background. You see Hyrule Castle there. You have this, the dragon majestically flying through the air while this floating island in the background. There's just so many points of interest that are exciting. As this thing just sort of like flies, and as you walk, you can see like it's gigantic. The dragons in Tears of the Kingdom are just huge. I mean, look, this is like a world that is well built for an open world. Great example of an open world game that just has a lot of interesting things. Beautiful, majestic, kind of gives you a sense of awe. And I'll bring up Pal World too. This is the Pals here. This is Yormantide, the Pal version of Gyarados. very similar design. He's just sort of hanging out. Obviously, the graphics look a little bit better than. And then here's a comparison of all three together. We have Pokemon Arceus. I mean, you can just look how bad these graphics look on the game. They just did a terrible job. I mean, I like the game. I like the concept Arceus, but I think the graphics look terrible. And for a Pokemon game, like, I don't think he can do that. And then, so we have the comparison of Gyarados flying here. We got Yormantide. Of course, we have just, Tears of the Kingdom. Just obviously, this is an indie company on the bottom with Pocket Pair. We have the biggest, most successful franchise like all time in terms of money that it makes in Pokemon on the top right or top left, and then in top right we have, easily the best example of world building. Legend of Zelda. Nintendo just make absolutely incredible games. This is majestic, Tears of the Kingdom, just absolutely majestic. But why should Pokemon, Pocket, or whatever you want to call it, Pokemon Company, Game Freak, why does this look so bad? Even like Yormantide here, he's whatever. He has his own, at least he has his own animation. This thing's just flying around in a circle. Gyarados is flying around in a circle. He doesn't look big. He looks small. I guess, you're sort of far away, but this looks like there's nothing majestic about this. This is supposed to be like almost like a legendary Pokemon, a very rare, gigantic Pokemon that just flies in a circle and goes into a worse, cuts off frames of animation. And then over here in the Pokemon section, you can see I zoomed out. You just see all this is boring. The landscape's boring. You have a few Pokemon, a few Geodudes here. They're just walking around. They've just been stuck into the area. Got Yormantide here on the bottom. He's, sipping some water. He's thirsty. And then on the top right here, we got Legend of Zelda. This thing majestically flying across. It looks like even the weather's starting to change as you get closer to the dragon. It's just totally different. And why should, on the two tops, same system. Why do they look so different? This is the same exact hardware. Pokemon should be a franchise on par with Legend of Zelda. It should be. It's not, but it should be in terms of game making. Game Freak has been around forever. They're both Nintendo related to each other. Nintendo's collaborating with Game Freak, and I think that seems like collaboration, but Nintendo essentially owns it. They're friendly with each other. Why is this so much different than Tears of the Kingdom? And I think it's probably because just time, effort, maybe talent, budget. But in terms of sales, Arceus sold about 16 million copies last time. Last time they gave updates, Tears of the Kingdom was at 20 million, close to 20 million. Again, that was in 2003, 2023. And then, Pocket, Pal World, around 19 million at the moment. It's still gonna sell better, but this is the game that 16 million. And it is important to note that Zelda and Pokemon are full price games. Pocket Pair was half of the amount, only at $30, so much cheaper. So you're not making as much money. Well, potentially as much money. The budget was so small that they're making a ton of money. But this is how it looks. Oh my God, looks so ugly. I don't know why they decided to do that. It gets further away. The animations look rougher. This doesn't look good. Gyarados is supposed to be majestic. It's supposed to be like a majestic dragon flying through the air. Instead of just circles around whatever. But this isn't actually a majestic dragon flying through the air. This is how it's done. Legend of Zelda, they know how to do this. They know how to do it. This is like a well-built world. This is an open world done well. this is an open world done badly right here. I don't even know why they make it open world. It's ridiculous. And like over here, we have another example of Pokemon. This is new Pokemon Snap, baby, and this is how. No, let's see. Let's go in here. Oh, I see. My thing doesn't play the. Unfortunately, my thing doesn't play the music because I use multiple tracks. But over here, you see Apoms running through a jungle. You know, they're chasing each other. They're a pair here. I'm trying to look around, trying to find Pokemon here. We see, look, a few Bond Suites hanging out together. They're like, you know, they're friends. They're a couple. They're couples here. Let me try and, oh, let's see. Let me just sort of skip around. I don't want to bore you too much, but let's take a look. Let's see. Here we got, oh, I forget what these things are called since they're newer. Leopards. I like leopards, you know. But look, it's stretching out like a cat. Stretching out like a cat. It's laying down like here, like a cat. Again, you see these, they act like, you know, animals. Stretching. You know, this is interesting. It's like they're building a world here where animals act like animals. They're not like sort of like stuck in this world, like just sort of like pasted in like nothing. Here you got another one of these cats. I can't pronounce it. Lipards? Is that how we pronounce it? Lipards? Dang, like I'm a Gen 1er here. I'm trying to throw stuff at it to get it to move. Well, it's just hanging out like a cat would. You know, this is just sort of like this like small details that adds so much to the world. Like you think like, all right, I'm part of this world. Because you see this cat just like hanging out like a big cat would in a world, you know, in a jungle. Down here, we got some beautiful water. Oh, here's Magikarp. He's flying up in the air. He reacts to like what I do. And this kind of stuff, you feel like you're part of a world when stuff like this happens. You got, you know, them Beautifly hanging out. You got these two Quagsires kind of sunning themselves. Again, I'm trying to take pictures here. These Pokemon, they run away, you know, when they see me, like kind of annoyed, or they'll react to my balls or apples. Quagsire's just sort of hanging out. He wants to jump in, take a swim. Like all this stuff is like beautiful, you know. This is like how Pokemon to me should be, or Pokemon should act in a Pokemon game. And like you kind of see in this like previous mock-up by this artist, you know, just how it is. Like he's very similar. He's like creating a story with these Pokemon and how they're acting, how they're hanging out. You know, like a horde of, sort of like hive of Beedrills here, hanging out. You know, Pokemon Snap does a good job, but with Pokemon Snap, it's essentially a rail shooter, kind of an old style rail shooter. Very cool to see, but you know, you only have a very small track, a very small stage here to sort of populate. If you go the open world route, you're giving yourself so much of a challenge. And look, he's happy because I fed him. These Ariadoses are hanging out. I mean, this is how like you don't imagine, you know, a lot of these sort of like smaller animals kind of hanging out in groups. You know, mushrooms are usually together. You usually see like multiple mushrooms, like especially in an area, you know, like a damp area. The toucan hanging out in a nest, and there's also some of those little birds there. I forget what they're called, Picapex or whatever. Morelus. I hate some of the new Pokemon names. I feel like such a boomer trying to pronounce this stuff. I'm like, ugh, when did I get so old? Let's just go back to Kanto Pokemon Gen 1. Back when the world made sense. Then these things glow, but that's whatever. It's not my favorite part. I could probably do a Pokemon Snap review eventually. You got the Yamaga giant dragonfly hanging out, moving like a dragonfly, hanging out over water like you kind of see a dragonfly do. That's really cool. That's how Pokemon should be. This is you know, Pokemon needs to, if they really want to kind of get back from sort of mediocrity, They need to make a game like this, like an actual like mainline Pokemon game that kind of gives you this sort of sense of wonder, and like something like the Arceus. And I think Arceus is a really good format. You know, the gameplay itself is really good. But again, you know, they need to step up the graphics and the talent and the budget that they put in this. Or I think just the time. The fact that they're just putting out so many games so fast. No matter how good the artist is, they just don't have time to optimize and add, you know, these cool details to the game and really kind of make these Pokemon feel like they're part of the world. I did have some Arceus. I won't bother. I'm running so much time on this anyway, so let's move on. But this is, like I said, if Pokemon wants to kind of get back to where it was before in terms of just one of the top franchises, in terms of quality at least, this is what they need to do. This guy's got the right idea. I agree with him, but let's talk about Nintendo a little bit more. Give me a second. I'm going to get a drink here. Nintendo says it will overcome challenges of generational transition with unique propositions. Furukawa insisting it takes nothing for granted following Switch's success. This is from VGC News by Tom Ivan. Nintendo has said it's more important than ever to offer customers unique propositions in order to stand out in an increasingly competitive marketplace. This is during a quality Q&A session following Nintendo's financial results briefing on Wednesday. The company was asked what risks it is especially mindful of as it looks to build on success of its dedicated gaming platforms and its expanding IP business. Since the launching March 2017, Switch has sold over 139 million units. Only two other dedicated platforms, Nintendo DS and Sony's PlayStation 2, have outsold it. Incredible. Despite the console's blockbuster success, Nintendo said it's taking nothing for granted. Given its past experience with tricky generational transitions, for example, while the Wii reached almost 102 million sales, its successors Wii U sold just 13 million units. Before the Switch revived the company's fortunes with this generation. So, yeah, Wii U, huge financially fair. I like the console, but yeah, it did not do well. We're approaching our business every day with a profound sense of urgency. Furukawa told shareholders, the generation transition of platforms in the dedicated gaming console business is never easy. We've experienced significant challenges following the successful platforms multiple times, so we never consider our current situation to be totally secure, which is a good on them. It 100% isn't. Furthermore, as you pointed out, business is always exposed to great competition from a broader entertainment perspective, not only video games, but also various forms of leisure are competitors in this industry. In this environment, there are increasing need, more than ever, to continue offering unique propositions, become a brand that customers choose. Currently not taking anything for granted. While the company is yet to comment publicly, Nintendo Switch successor is widely expected to launch this year. VGC reported last summer that development kits were in the hands of key partner studios. While specific details on the upcoming console is being kept closely guarded, sources in the VGC spoke indicated that they will be able to be used in a portable mode similar to the Switch. Bloomberg reported last month console will have an 8-inch LCD screen. So basically they're saying, you know, it's going to be very much Switch-like. I think Nintendo realizes that the console, like super powerful consoles, just aren't the way to do it. Sort of staying in this lane of being a portable while being able to be used as a console, not quite as powerful. Kind of like staying again out of the sort of arms race in terms of graphical power. But hopefully, still trying to keep up as a. I think one of the things that always haunts Nintendo, especially later in its life, is that a lot of games can't be put on Switch and still look good. A lot of like big releases, you can't rely on it. But I think Switch is still in a really good, unique position. Like I don't know if the Steam Deck is really going to challenge it in terms of being a portable gaming device. This is sort of like they kind of like hit a nice sweet spot where they can be both the sort of Game Boy and the Nintendo console at the same time. In terms of portable gaming, it's probably like, again, probably one of the best you can get. But like, I don't think you could quite count out Steam Deck either, especially considering just how many like great indie titles, especially like platformers. Though eventually, you know, they will get. A lot of people do like to release that stuff on Switch, but I mean, well, you could play Power Roll, you could play stuff like Hollow Knight. You know, you could play all sorts of cool indie games. Freedom Planet 2 would be like a fun thing to play on the go. And I think that might come. I think that came to Switch as well. At least the original Freedom Planet did. But to continue offering innovative entertainment that can be enjoyed with a customer worldwide, integrated hardware, such advancing various research and development, you know, Nintendo's staying on top of it. Their IPs are still strong as ever. Our products are not daily necessities. If they are not interesting, we quickly lose people's attention. Therefore, it is crucial to continue efforts to make Nintendo feel close, even outside of dedicated gaming consoles, which is an interesting comment. Increasing the customers who support Nintendo IP over the long term, maintain connections with our customers. They obviously had a really big release with their Super Mario Brothers movie. So there could be other ways that Nintendo's doing, and they do have some mobile stuff, which is sort of the next article I'm getting to. Let's see, Santiago. Even Ubisoft kind of learned the lesson with Assassin's Creed, and it changed with Origin and Odyssey. Went again too far with Valhalla and rolled it back with Mirage. In terms of like Pokemon, where it's like going a little too far in terms of slipping on sort of quality. Is that what you're referring to? Oh, throat's getting dry here. We'll press on. I knew I had a lot to talk about. It's been an hour. I guess we're ready to get going. Because this is from PocketGamer.biz by Aaron Astle. Nintendo mobile and IP sales are up 93.4%. Reveals $9.3 billion earned in total sales across the first 3 quarters of its financial year. Just huge news. Nintendo doing extremely well. 9-month period, December 2023, revealing the year's biggest Switch success, rising profits, a mighty 9.3.4 year-on-year sales rise in mobile and IP-related business, exceed its console sales across all platforms. Nintendo consolidates sales across mobile and other IP-based ventures, somewhat muddies perception of how well its mobile catalog is performed. The PocketGamer.biz focuses on mobile sales. In total, mobile and IP-related sales reaches, 7.5 billion yen, which is 500.5 million across 3 quarters, marking the aforementioned 93.4% year-on-year sales rise. States is bolstered mainly by the generation revenue by the generation of revenue related to Super Mario Brothers movie. Notably, the company's mobile and IP category generated 3.18 billion yen Q1. The Mario Brothers movie doing very well. At the same time, mobile's offering has waned compared to previous years. Dr. Mario long since shut down. Super Mario Run. Dragalia Lost sadly closed. I like that game, but kind of sucks for all the players that put a bunch of money into it. Just a year ago, Papa Camp and Fire Emblem Heroes staying strong. A lot of people still like that. Switch sales slowly declined too, down 7.8 through the first 3 quarters of the console's 7th year on the market. It's actually been slower than Nintendo anticipated, so hey, that's good news. Switch software sales by 8.4 despite the highly anticipated Tears of the Kingdom. Finally launched in 2003, the game has sold 20 million copies so far. The Zelda movie in the works. Gaming Labs is increasingly ready for a mobile Zelda game. Whether or not Nintendo will take that route, I doubt it. I don't even know how you make a mobile phone Zelda game. That'd be kind of weird. Unless you made it 2D, that might actually be pretty good. I don't know exactly how you throw in mobile marketing. Now to Switch sales, despite surpassing Nintendo expectations, bound to fuel further theories about the Switch successor. Of course, talking about the new Switch, but yeah, Nintendo doing well, and it seems like they're going to continue the course in terms of IP related. I don't think we won't be seeing these guys their exclusive stuff going to other consoles anytime soon. But we'll see. I'm actually looking forward to that Zelda movie too. And this another article from IGN. Squeeze more light out of Switch as Switch 2 anticipation builds. This is by IGN Wesleyan Pool. About Super Mario, one of the first in almost 11 years, so a solid start of almost 2 million copies sold. Mentioned again, Tears of the Kingdom, 20 million units, some way off from Breath of the Wild's 3.61 million sold, but of course that was on 2 different consoles, and I think there was a lot of bundles there too. Pikmin 4, this is interesting, sold 3.3 million, very well. Super Mario RPG getting another like 3 million units. This is ridiculous. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe shifted another 7 million units. Kart Racer has now sold 60.58 million units. That's an insane best-selling Switch game, best-selling kart racer of all time. I cannot believe Super Mario Bros. 8 has sold this many units. It's insane. Just a steady growth. Though honestly, I'm not super keen on some of the games coming out. Princess Peach and Mario vs. Donkey Kong look whatever to me. Splatoon 3 expansion, that might be interesting. Showtime, I don't even know what Showtime is. But we'll see. We'll see if they got something coming out later in the year. But there's still like some other games I want to play, like Super Mario RPG. Might be fun. And I do want to try Wonder eventually, but at the moment I got my hands full with other games. So Nintendo, again, doing well. Let's talk more about Stellar Blade. Again, I kind of want to stop talking about this game, but it still stays in the news. This was a cool article from Games Radar. This is by Ali Jones. Stellar Blade dev, also known for butt jiggling game Nike, says he put special attention to the female lead's back because it's what players see most of the time. Well, that's very thoughtful of him. The director of upcoming RPG Stellar Blade says one of the game's most distinctive marketing beats exists because of the special attention put into the reverse side of the lead character's model. Speaking of Games Radar, director Hyung Tae Kim, Viva Translator, discussed the character design of the protagonist Eve, a design built around a body scan of Korean model Shin Ye-eun has been the focus of Stellar Blade's earlier trailers, and while we now know much more about Eve, Kim suggests that's deliberate. When it comes to the design, we put special attention to the back of the character. Let's move on. Before Stellar Blade shipped up the best of the gacha game Goddess of Victory Nike, which focused on the backs of the anime characters, right up to last year's collaboration with Nier Automata. Kim argues, however, the studio's style is more about pure titillation. The deliberate, glamorous design of the character like Eve has become somewhat of a brave thing to be going for or attempting, he claims. Kim also reflects on the broader cultural situations surrounding characters like Eve, both in Korea and globally, his own desire when it comes to the games he plays and makes. I personally think that compared to movies, animations, manga, and so on, people are especially strict towards games. In games, there's all the views that people have, which are not always positive, about unrealistically beautiful characters. Honestly, when I play a game, I'd like to see someone who's better looking than myself. That's what I want. I don't want to see something normal. I want to see something more ideal. I think it's very important in a form of entertainment. This is, after all, entertainment targeted for adults. As what Kim considers ideal design, he wants to point to someone that can show their own charms, attractiveness without damaging the narrative or setting of the game. When pressed on who Eve is as a person, the director discussed her personality and backstory, her journey through humanity. Does remind you of Nier Automata's 2B, who, let's not forget, had a destroy pants button in the game. Achievement tied to look up a skirt. That he's honored to see the game compared to Nier since he's a big fan of Yoko Taro. The character Eve at the beginning is not that great of an existence, but as game progresses, he takes more and more of the burdens and comes to make important decisions. So she becomes more human. But this is the more interesting part of the article is, to me, is the fact that Kim addressing the fact that he wants these characters to be unrealistic and be beautiful in a way, more beautiful, or like the idealistic beauty in these games that is shown through Eve and Stellar Blade. You know, with these characters that are exciting to some people, including this journalist. Is he a journalist? Oh well, he's got a Twitter account by this gentleman named Kamir Yovan. Went to the streets to ask New Yorkers what they have to say about Stellar Blade. And then
I think it's just men that's never touched a woman in their life, not knowing what they look like, and so they're like, "This is what women in my video games always looked like." Stellar Blade.
yeah, she looks 14.
And with the side ponytail too, girl. She needs a bow.
She looks like she's 16.
And then I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but this is the usual crap. This kind of shows it. Really, I just wanted to. I love this girl's shirt. Fuck you, you fucking fuck. I mean, this is charming. Like all these women, it's like some really charming women. Obviously, beautiful, lovely ladies here.
It looks nothing like her. It's like two.
Yeah, it is two different people. By the way, some people have been claiming that the body is based on the model. The face is not. The makers have stated that the face is its own thing. Of course, you know, you might see kind of related. I guess this guy's Asian, so you would know the differences between the two faces. I have some difficulty telling telling the difference between the two, but you know, I'm going to take his word for it.
Asian woman, yeah.
She's a beautiful.
Immaculate, like.
I'm like, oh, it's so funny though. Like, oh yeah, she's beautiful. She's a real woman. They won't insult a real woman, but all of a sudden, like, you know, it becomes a fictional character now. Like, oh,
Girl.
she's a child.
I think it's obviously not someone you would see walking down the street.
Yeah, it's totally. Well, yeah, she's got bigger eyes, small. I don't know with the nose. It might be a little smaller than regular. And then, you know, it's, yeah, they've kind of made her idealized, dull, like in a way, the anime style eyes here.
It doesn't quite fit her face shape.
He's doing like some man on the street interview with, and it's hard to say if he cherry picked it. And then like these two fat, ugly women, you know, it's whatever. I don't know why he decided to open these two women to ridicule, but these are clearly two women that want to reject traditional beauty standards with crazy piercings, colored hair, that kind of stuff.
All I see is ass.
So, I mean,
For someone's image or proportion.
This is all I see is ass.
Now let me show you what they did to her body.
Oh, well, just like completely sexualized her.
Doesn't seem
Wow.
like that's for her proportion.
Wow. Do any of these people play games? I think would be a good question to ask. That do any of these people do you think any of these people in this video are going to buy the game or play the game? Answer is no. They don't care. So why do we care about their opinion? But this is, you know, kind of the stuff guys like Carl Chauvin do. Like, hey, let me ask women what they think about this.
Again, like it's a game.
So
This I think
Again, like
It's a vision of what they.
this is like probably like the only like
It's a vision of what they find beautiful.
it's a little too much, but then again, like it's a game.
So if you
so this is like the one woman that Gretch, like the one woman that kind of gets it right. It's a little too much for her, but it's a game. So kind of like who cares? And that's exactly the I think the healthy thing to take. But you can see the normal tactics that are used when this sort of like games like this come up. Oh, she's a kid. This is for guys that never touched a woman. All that junk. But hey, how's it going? JBB, good to see you. I ended Xbox 5 years ago. Xbox, and I was a Xbox dick writer for real. What the fuck? I had my share of chocolate, but I never with green hair. Jeez. Hey, good morning, Deborah. Good to see you. New York won one of the femme capitals of New York. Yeah, exactly. It's very liberal. Going out, finding, I mean, people that look like this. Who would have thought someone with green hair and like piercings all over their face would be liberals and have opinions like this? Totally totally unexpected, but good man on the street interview here by Carl Joven. But let's move on. Let's palate cleanser from this, guys. If you recognize this iconic music, this will get copyrighted strike. What about this iconic tune? Well, if I told you even this. Now, all of this is related to that woman there. She's worked on both of them. She worked together with, I think, another guy on the Street Fighter themes, and the whole Super Mario RPG was composed entirely by her. This is a composer, Yoko Shimomura, along with game designer Fozzie Mesmora, honored at GDC-A. Game Developer Choice Awards revealed the recipients of the ceremony's prestigious special awards. Yoko Shimomura, composer of games such as Kingdom Hearts, Super Mario RPG, Street Fighter II, and Final Fantasy 15, will receive the year's Lifetime Achievement Awards. We're not going to... Who cares about Fozzie Mesmora or whoever this guy is? I'm sure he's great, but we're here to talk about Yoko Shimomura. Amazing, absolutely iconic soundtracks that have sort of shaped the video games forever. She's an incredibly... This is one of her fan page. Yoko Shimomura, I think, is a fan page. I don't think she did herself. Incredibly talented video game music composer from Japan, well known for composing soundtracks to Kingdom Hearts, Mario & Luigi RPG series, Sengoku That's a Secret of Mana. I can't pronounce this. Sorry. Can't pronounce the Japanese name. And series and most recent upcoming Final Fantasy 15 soundtracks. Composed arranged music for a number of games over the past 30 years. Called the most famous female video game composer in the world. That's probably true. I'm not going to disagree. Early life and education. I'm not going to make a joke about that. But she grew up in Japan. Working career. First soundtrack she worked on was Capcom for a game called Samurai Sword in 1888. Composed soundtracks for video games. Final Fight was the first game to receive a separate soundtrack release. She originally started working on soundtracks for home consoles in 1990. She moved to Capcom's arcade division. During her time at Capcom, she worked on a soundtrack for over 16 games. Was also a member of the company's in-house band called Alpha Leia, and even performed live on occasions. In 1993, she joined Square, now called Square Enix, but because she was interested in composing more classical-style music for RPGs such as Final Fantasy. First game she worked on with Square was an RPG, Live Alive, in 1994. Composed soundtracks to Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. Over the next few years, she worked on many soundtracks. Two of her most famous ones being Parasite Eve and Legend of Mana soundtracks. To this day, Shimomura considers Legend of Mana soundtrack the best expression of herself and still her favorite work. Later composed soundtrack for Kingdom Hearts. She describes some of the most special soundtrack to her. She also soundtracks for Street Fighter II and Super Mario RPG were also significant to her career. So Yoko Shimomura, incredibly influential on video games in terms of the sounds and the arrangement she's made. Definitely deserving of the award, and a good example of a woman that's actually making video games better instead of many of them that actively making them worse. Good for her. Good for her. On this, we got another story. This isn't related to video games, but quasi-related in a way, because digital ownership, definitely a big thing for video game fans. But this is from IGN. Ryan Dinsdale, anime fans frustrated as Funimation digital copies won't move to Crunchyroll. Anime fans have expressed frustration online after Crunchyroll announced it wouldn't grant users access to Funimation digital copies when the two streaming services fully merge. Crunchyroll's guide explaining the merger, which will see Funimation fully absorbed on April 2nd, 2024, 2 years after it announced in March 2002, makes the lack of digital copy transferring clear. We understand that you have concerns about your digital copies of Funimation, Crunchyroll said. Please note that Crunchyroll does not currently support Funimation digital copies, which means that access to the previous available digital copies will not be supported. So, Funimation got bought out. So if you own, these people bought digital copies through Funimation, now it's been acquired by Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll says, those things you own, well, they're done. We're continuing to work to ensure our content offerings and provide you with an exceptional anime streaming experience, blah, blah, blah. So basically, people that bought Funimation stuff, so anime is not particularly well to this news, which is obvious. I think I'd be angry too. Digital is rental. Example 2,371. Stop paying for streaming media. Added ex post Vox. Buy things you actually own. So this is a big blow to sort of digital ownership, and a great example of a real life example of how things can go wrong when you buy digital copies of media. A huge example. So anyone that owns stuff from Funimation got bought out by Crunchyroll, and Crunchyroll, not my favorite company in terms of what they've been doing lately, isn't going to honor these digital copies. Funimation's fans criticized Funimation's digital copy promotion for years too, as it doesn't actually give them digital ownership of the series, but instead allows them to stream it without signing up for Funimation's premium subscription. And then account connected, so wasn't good to begin with, but now you're just out of luck. And as you know, games are moving more and more to digital only. It remains to be seen whether or not how long you're going to be able to own and enjoy those games through these services. There's always a chance that they could go belly up, and all of a sudden, those stuff you owned, well, you don't own it anymore, apparently. Or thought you owned. You don't own it at all. Moving on. Sega, not doing too well. Financial warning after sluggish sales of Sonic Superstars, Endless Dungeon, and Total failure. European restructuring going on. This is IGN, Wesleyan Pool again. Sluggish wheat sales. Sonic Superstars did not do as well, and I think they made up a pretty lame excuse that some other game, Super Mario Wonder, to say, Super Mario Wonder hurt the sales. Personally, I just don't think Sonic Superstars just didn't look that great of a game. It was kind of an interesting concept, you know, you could play like multiple people at the same time. Just make a good Sonic game instead of making these weird stuff. But they also did have some good stuff. I think Like a Dragon, Gaiden, Man Who Erased His Name did pretty well. Persona 3 Reloaded is doing incredibly well. Set record sales from their respective developers. Then we said the overall sales and profit, but overall, you know, some of this stuff, their expectations are down. Oh yeah, never feels, but never admitted other games like had a significant impact on Cyber Superstars, especially Super Mario Wonder. So even now, Nintendo's kicking their ass after all these years. At least what it's saying. Taking on the continuous of structural reform of its game. Business in Europe has already canceled Creative Assembly's live service shooter Hyenas. Another live shooter, the whole Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, not doing too well. Some people pointed out that at certain times of the day, Arkham Asylum has more concurrent players than Suicide Squad on Steam. But they're not the only ones. Square Enix is reportedly overhauling how it makes games. Again, IGN Wesleyan Pool. According to Bloomberg, Square Enix director Takashi Kiryu told analysts this week that the company's new structure will be announced in 2024. But after the sort of disappointing sales of Final Fantasy 16, which are given the release in June, it didn't do too well. It was a PlayStation exclusive, sold 3 million copies during launch week. It sparked a debate on whether Square Enix had met its sales target. So it did all right, but I think they expected a lot better from the game. Hey, how's it going, Marty? Good to see you. This was, again, a PlayStation exclusive, and some people argued that, hey, if it wasn't exclusive, would it have sold more? I think it'll eventually go to PC, but falling sales and profits from digital entertainment were due part to declining in the MMO Final Fantasy 14 sales, mobile and PC browser game sales. So they're doing some restructuring, trying to hope, and then the guy that also produced it said it might be time for young blood in here to helm Final Fantasy 17, and then there's more pressure on Final Fantasy Rebirth, which is going to launch at the end of February to do well, keep things in the green for Square Enix. And then, speaking of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, that's about the final story of the day. The yellow paint. People are getting very mad about yellow paint. And then this Mr. Dave Oshry here. Yellow paint virus has infected Final Fantasy 7. And other people. This is from FPS Aesthetics. This needs to end. This is kind of an old post from March 11th, 2023, but this is another example of yellow paint to kind of give you some perspective on why people are mad about the yellow paint. This is Resident Evil 4, putting yellow paint all over the stuff, the boxes that you can interact with, so players know, hey, look at this. You can interact with this, guys. And then this is a quote tweet. Someone, don't make me tap the sign, saying this reminds me of the fact that in the original Dead Space focus group, playtesters only ever aimed for the head, even with the voice lines explicitly stating that it isn't effective, and that's why the first few hallways are smeared with cut off their limbs every 5 feet. And this person, Johan here, saying, yes, playtesters are usually idiots. Now why should the overall product be diminished for satisfying troglodytes? This is kind of give you the idea of the argument that's going on here. It is basically a basically, and this is from Niche Gamer by Frigal Belmont. Final Fantasy Rebirth needs to be more like Assassin's Creed. Overall, it's an argument for game design, better game design, instead of this lazy marking with yellow paint being lazy. Final Fantasy Rebirth is poised to be one of the biggest 2004 releases for a good reason. Getting hands on the game's final preview, we learned that Cloud can now vault over ledge, hop fences, scale up walls. In a sequence that plays like a linear action game from the mid-2010s. But by now, gamers are very accustomed to these kind of scripted moments where publishers push player in directions, up a wall, along a redetermined set climbable points. It seems Rebirth designers do not think highly of the player's intelligence. Of course, I'm referring the eye-rolling choice to sloppily apply yellow paint on interactable points, that the drooling knuckle-dragging gamers can figure out where to go. This odd design choice was also found recently in the Resident Evil 4 remake. It's a regrettable decision to guide players where to go because it's distracting and makes no sense in the reality of the game. What is especially confronting is that there have been graceful solutions to this dilemma for decades. And he points out Assassin's Creed 2004 figured out how to have surfaces that players can climb without intrusive paint. Rules that applied that Altair could grip and scale any protrusion or brick that was sticking out by about 2 inches. As you can see in the picture here, there's bricks that sort of stick out. You can see the shadows under it. And like here are player. There are, people here where you can grab ledges, grab bricks. Kind of like, again, it's obvious to see. I think I played this Assassin's Creed. before. And then, yeah, you can tell pretty easily that, hey, I can grab here. As opposed to in this Final Fantasy picture where you can see these giant painted yellow ledges where you can grab. And then they also kind of go on to mention Silent Hill 3, the actual character itself would look at places, points of interest that you can grab or, look at or interact with. And then it also mentions Ocarina of Time having, just a simple texture, this vine texture that you can climb up. And it seems like most people are smart enough to figure that out, where you can climb up. So it is kind of interesting to see people react to it, but I definitely agree that it's ugly, and it is kind of, I guess, just a further sort of reminder of how game design is kind of going downhill. When people just say, slap some yellow on it, and it'll be done. They'll figure it out. But yeah. The way Eric came into the marketing comics, there's rumored someone to make better video games. Assassin's Creed, good game. I had that on disc. It's collecting dust in the basement somewhere. Yeah, it was a good game. I played a little bit of it. I'm not a big fan of Assassin's Creed style gameplay where it's like you run around, you collect different objects, do missions. The same thing, like Spider-Man type of game. So yeah, lazy paint, lazy design, but we'll see. It is kind of interesting the way, I don't know if gamers are getting dumber or, if the design's getting lazier. That is up for you guys to decide. But man, it's almost 90 minutes this podcast went on. I told you we had a lot of stuff to discuss. But that is going to be it for the Scarlethan podcast. Thank you for joining me, guys. Really appreciate it. If you could like the video, that'd be very, very helpful. We're getting very close. I think if this week goes well in terms of how the videos do, we'll be monetized. We could be monetized by this time next week. I really hope it will be. But thank you guys for joining me. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you again next week. Look forward to Friday. We'll be back with hopefully with the T-Rex Army stream. And of course, again, Sunday with the podcast. That's it, guys. I'll see you guys later. Thank you.